This is Connor from Four Corners Boxing. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Aston Brown. How are you today, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are you? Okay?
Yeah, all good, thanks, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Not a problem.
Nice one. When I do these interviews, I like to go right back from the early days. What was your introduction into boxing? How did you get into it in the first place?
My introduction, mate, was my brother took me when I was about 8 years old. Um, he said I couldn't go, I was too young, and then he found out I could go, and then he took me one night, and that was it, mate. I fell in love with it, and my brother sort of stayed for a few weeks and then never went back, and I've never left, mate. And I think that was like 26 years ago, 27 years ago. You know what I mean? A long time ago, mate. So, it was my brother that introduced me to the game. So I always thank him for that because I've obviously had a good life through it as well and had some great times. You know what I mean? So that was it.
Of course, yeah, and obviously you had quite a successful amateur career, including
Yeah.
time in Team GB. What were those days? What were those days like, and what are your fondest memories?
They were the best days, mate. They were the best days of boxing, I always say. Even when I speak to the old teammates, you know what I mean? They were the best days, mate. The days we actually
Yeah,
wish we could go back and experience again. You didn't really appreciate them back then as much when you were younger. You know what I mean? We always just wanted to win medals and get home and see family instead of just actually enjoying it. But we did enjoy a lot of it, but sometimes it was on the road a lot and stuff, you know what I mean? But as you get older, you appreciate the times so much more. They were the best times in boxing, I would say. But to be fair, mate, my professional career now is, I'm really enjoying that. It's a good stage in my career now. I'm enjoying it. I've got a good team around about me. You know what I mean? I'm home. So this stage of my career is amazing as well, but I'm older and I'm wiser. But the GB days were phenomenal, mate. You know what I mean? I'd love to go back and experience them all again, but unfortunately that can't happen.
yeah, I can imagine there were a lot of characters around that time, weren't there?
Yeah, there was some great people, you know what I mean? You had Archie and Ryan O'Math, there's loads of them, you know what I mean? Through the different cycles and stuff like that. But we had great times, mate, you know what I mean? We travelled the world together. I made lifelong friends. Friends I'm still close with today and I'm still in touch with. And obviously my best mate, Josh Taylor, you know what I mean? Who I travelled the world with, not just through with GB, but with Team Scotland as well before we were even on GB together. And I've always been sort of a part of his career, and he's always been a bit of part of my career and still is to the day. So it's good, mate. Know what I mean? The times are amazing, and again, lifelong friends I made.
Yeah, no, of course. And also as an amateur, you participated in the World Series of Boxing. How would you feel that
Yeah.
format helped transition you into the pro game?
It did. It gave you a wee bit of insight what the pro game would be like with smaller gloves, obviously. No vests, head guards are already off probably that time in amateurs, but for over 5 rounds. But I always say this, it was like just say for instance a 5 round professional fight, but it was a 5 round professional fight against some of the quality operators in the world, you know what I mean? Best fighters in the world on the amateur scene. And some of the fighters have went on to be world champions that who are boxing WSB. So it's not as if you're just getting into the pro scene with the wee gloves on and fighting journeymen. You were getting in and fighting guys at Olympic level, you know what I mean, straight away with smaller gloves on that. So it gives a good taste for it in that sense, you know what I mean? But it was good. It was just a great experience, you know what I mean? I boxed at middleweight and I boxed one at light heavyweight and that. So it was just good. Travel the world. The format was amazing. I loved it. You know what I mean? I really did. I really enjoyed it. But it was hard. It was tough. You know what I mean? With the wee gloves on against some quality operators, and most of the time I boxed on the road as well. But no, it was good. It gave you a wee bit of insight of what professional boxing would be like. Um, but it was good, mate. It was enjoyable. You know what I mean? And it'd be good to still have it about. You know what I mean? I know that they don't really do it anymore, but it was a good time for us and the GB guys to get involved in that.
Yeah, you definitely didn't get any gimme fights, no, did you? Straight in the deep end.
Straight in the deep end, mate. Straight into the deep end, and it was like even when the fight came up against the Ukrainian Alexander Kiznak at light heavyweight, I just jump into that. I wasn't in a light heavyweight. I was a middleweight at the time. You know what I mean? I've just probably ballooned up a bit for. I think we came back for a tournament. You know what I mean, you had a few weeks off. You put a bit of weight on. I was like, I'll go on fighting at light heavyweight. You know what I mean? Put a bit of size on, put a bit of weight on, but I was no light heavyweight. So you know the levels I'm talking about. Then that he's been on to be an Olympic silver medalist, Olympic champion, a two-time world. You know what I mean? So this is the levels you're competing at and the levels you're mixing at. So it does stand you in good stead for obviously turning professional because you box at such a high level as an amateur.
Yeah, no, of course. And your pro debut came in 2015.
Yeah.
What were your goals when you headed into the pro game?
My goals are just like everybody else, probably. Be a world champion, be rich, be famous, all right? Because you're young and at that time, now looking back at it, I was young and naive and, I mean, just full of pride and full of, I was a GB athlete and I was. And I mean, I was, and I was I'm not a talent, know what I mean? I was a talent, but back then I was a talent. I probably still had the same amount of talent now, but I had a lot younger head on me. And now I've got a much older head than me, wiser. I know the business, know what I mean? And I know how my style works and stuff like that. But again, it was be a world champion and make it happen tomorrow instead of trust the process and know how the process works, which I know that today. It was like get one fight and then I want another fight, and then obviously in my pro debut, I did break my hand basically. You know what I mean? I had to get the operation, which set me back so much in my own head and my own life and my own mind. You know what I mean? And obviously that one thing led to another, and then before you know it, I'm out of boxing and I'm not boxing anymore, and I've chose a different road in life. You know what I mean? Which wasn't the right road. But we got back. We got back, mate.
Yeah, of course. And then after your pro debut and you come from that injury, your next fight was on the undercard of your good friend Josh Taylor,
Yeah.
fighting Harder Davis.
Mm-hmm.
What was that feeling like to be on part of such a big night in Scottish boxing history?
Amazing, mate. It was just amazing to be a part of that. Again, it was that was in Braehead where my last fight was. You know what I mean? So I'd already boxed there before, way back in 2016 or 17. That was. I can't even remember the dates. But no, it was amazing. It was amazing to be a part of that night. Obviously, I was only my second pro fight. Josh was obviously fighting in a big fight against O'Hara Davies. Great event, you know what I mean? Obviously, Josh done the business. I won as well. But that seems so long ago now. Does that make sense? And it was so long ago. But again, good times, good memories, obviously, to have. Just few daytimes in my pro career were probably there was a lot missing, mate. You know what I mean? There was a lot missing for myself, probably maturity, mentality, some issues. You know what I mean? But again, they're always nights I'll always remember. You know what I mean? Because they were amazing.
Yeah, no, definitely. And obviously, you mentioned the constant injuries and the big
Yeah.
break and layoffs you had in when your boxing career. How hard was that to mentally get through that and come on the other side and make the comeback that you obviously have now?
Very difficult, mate. You know what I mean? Very difficult. It's no secret. It's the troubles I've went through. You know what I mean? With addiction and prison and stuff like that. It's no secret. You know what I mean? So I openly speak about it. That was a number of years, but people don't realise that this illness, you know what I mean, this disease, it cripples you for years. It can cripple you for years. Crippled me for years, and then obviously prison took a lot of time away from me as well. So it was difficult to come back because when I decided to come back, I thought, am I too old? Is it too long at the ring? All these questions going through my mind, you know what I mean? Do I really want to do it anymore? But I think that all fighters know when it's time to hang the gloves up. I think the day, and it just wasn't time for me, mate. Just something in my gut was just telling me, something in my head was just telling me, was like, you're not finished yet. When I look back at it, that was the right decision to make because me turning and saying, am I too old? Is it too late? Like, well, really, you've no boxing 5 year asking or whatever it is, so there isn't a lot of miles on the clock. It's not as if you've been sparred. I hadn't been sparring or training, really, you know what I mean? I've been sparring, taking loads of punishment, or in hard fights where you're taking loads of punishment, or it's just a lot of miles on the clock. So, quickly get back into training, just to see if it was still there, the sharpness, the timing, the desire, the hunger, the wanting to do it, and quickly realised it was. But then it was obviously, as soon as I made that decision, it was preparing myself to get back in a professional boxing ring because it's one thing wanting to come back, it's another thing actually doing it and putting your body through the 10, the 12-week training camps, whatever it is. So we done that and eased ourselves back into it, and then I think it's fully paying off now, mate. You know what I mean? I think the hard work has shown what I've put in over the last couple of years coming back, especially the last say 4 performances on big platforms. So, mate, long continue, mate.
Yeah, no, definitely. I just want to say, I think that it's a very brave and powerful thing you've done, opening up about your issues and
Yeah,
that. I can imagine there's a lot of people out there that can kind of resonate with that, and I feel like you would have
yeah,
helped a lot of people coming out. It's an
definitely.
important thing. In terms of the comeback itself, after you got over those issues,
Hmm.
you definitely waited no time after that on a bit of a tear now.
Yeah.
You've had a string of knockout wins after points beforehand.
Yeah.
What do you feel like has been the major factor in the power now showing more? Is it just kind of opponents opening up a little bit more, or
People
mentality
come
kind of thing?
to win now, innit? Like, so
Hmm.
I think I said that years ago and on. I always say, like, I said years ago in my interviews and recent interviews as well, is like, as soon as people come to win, that's when they get knocked out, because that's when people leave gaps and opportunities or commit too much or whatever it is, and then you can land with your counters or whatever it is. So when people come to win, then they'll feel the power and they'll get knocked out, and that's exactly what's happened. When you're fighting these journeymen, these guys are experiencing what they're doing. Know what I mean? Even you can feel that off them when you're in there. Every journeyman I've fought, I've hit hard, and I can see them look at me as if, like, I don't want to get hit hard that with that much again. So they'll go in the back foot, they'll move, and they'll just be defensive, and then they'll take a points win so they can box again the following week, which is fair enough. That's the business.
Hmm.
But when guys come with ambition, as I've showed in my last four fights, when guys come with ambition to knock me out, they've been knocked out, mate. Know what I mean? So I think people who knew boxing or knew me, or I knew boxing, knew I had power and I can punch. Um, Maybe people that don't know boxing as much or don't know me as much probably just looked at me straight away and went, I can not punch her. But people who knew me, or as I said, no boxing, knew I could punch. Know what I mean? Or know I can punch, and now I'm starting to show it, mate. Know what I mean? Starting to show my power and my boxing skill, my ability as well, and my probably awkward style.
Yeah, no, 100%. And obviously that power now being brought into your game and being
Yeah,
displayed a little more. Do you feel like, in a way, that that's actually kind of, as well as your awkward style, has actually kind of done you a disservice in terms of making you a bit of a unwanted man and kind of, in the who needs them club as such?
yeah, yeah. I think so. I think so. But I always say that people's like, well, what are you going to do then? You're just going to knock people out and go to points, so you get the opportunities. That's it's an entertainment game we're in, mate. It's a business, and people want to see, and I want to look good when I'm winning.
Hmm.
And so that's exactly what I'm going to do, mate. I mean, I'm not going to stop knocking people out or knocking people over, put in front of me, or looking good doing it. But it can make it a bit more difficult. But I guess that's just the business. But saying that, you end up putting yourself in a position where you have to take the fight, or whoever it is has to take the fight. If
Hmm.
it's the champions, whoever, they have to take the fight. It can be called on by the board or put to purse bids or whatever it is, know what I mean? So I think I'm in a good position now in the rankings and stuff. My name's in there. And if all the guys like above me and below me are running about me, if we're all going to fight for these titles, we can make it between us, you know what I mean? Nobody's going to jump out of that top 10 and start trying to pick other people for away doing the rankings and stuff. What sense does that make? You know what I mean? So I think we'll all fight within the next 12 months, a year to 18 months, know what I mean? Surely there'll be big fights within that
Hmm.
sort of top 10 guys in the British rankings. There should be some big fights made, know what I mean? So it's exciting times for us all the fighters
Hmm.
in that top 10, I would say, know what I mean? Exciting times. Um, Big fights on big platforms, so hopefully, like as you said, British Commonwealth titles, they sort of
Hmm.
titles in the mix, maybe even European titles, who knows, know what I mean? I'm open to them all, mate. So I am looking forward to the next year to 18 months.
Yeah, I can imagine. It is quite a strong division domestically at the middleweight.
Yeah,
It's quite stacked. It's got a lot out there.
yeah. I think middleweight's always been
Hmm.
one of the harder divisions, and right now it's stacked. It's a stacked division. Obviously George Liddard won the Commonwealth and British titles all day. Shaquille Thompson, I know Shaquille quite well. Do some sparring that with him, who's just been signed with Queensbury and stuff, who's a fantastic fighter as well. You've got myself, you've got Brad Pauls, who else is in there? You've got loads of people in that top 10 again who are
Hmm.
great fighters. Know what I mean? Obviously, you've got the Eubanks and Liam Smiths and probably the Denzel Bentleys who are maybe more pushing towards the world level. Know what I mean? But just
Hmm.
below that, Jimmy Sains, who boxed at the
Hmm.
weekend on that show as well, who's a fantastic fighter. So Again, mate, I'm sitting saying these guys are all great fighters. You know what I mean? I don't have anything bad to say about anybody. You know what I mean? I'm quite like that, mate. I appreciate boxing and I respect boxing, and these are guys who are all fantastic fighters. But when it comes to fighting, then I want to win. You know what I mean? I want to knock everyone out as well, just like they do. So,
Hmm.
but aye, a great division, mate. It is a good division, which is quite exciting to be in a good division, isn't it? You know what I mean? Because great fights can be made. So aye, let's see what happens.
Hmm. Yeah, of course. And going back to yourself, your last win was only a few weeks ago now, in
Yeah.
14. Um, how would you assess that performance? And do you feel like that was your best pro performance so far?
It was just a demolition job, mate, as I said it would be. Best performance. I don't see. It's difficult because the last four fights, well, especially the last three fights against like guys, you had Fergus Quinn, you had Reece Porter, and you had Paul Keane, guys who Fergus Quinn was certainly coming to win. I went to Belfast and he was a favourite, so he was certainly coming to win. You know what I mean, and I was going to win. Then you had Reece Porter, he was coming to win as another undefeated guy. Paul Keane, a lot more experience than me, so yeah, it's difficult to say because they only went like the Quinn fight went what a round and a bit. The Porter fight only went one round, and Paul Keane again a round and a half. You know what I mean? So again, as I said in the interview after it, I've not actually not actually been able to show all my ability because I've knocked these guys out. You know what I mean? And that's of course what I want to do. But it's nice when you get to show your bit of ability. But I think I showed a bit of my style and a bit of my angles and stuff like that. But probably best I would say that off. Aye, it's difficult to pick. It's like what one was the best knockout of the last three. The Quinn one was a cracker. The Reece Porter one was a cracker, and that was that was a demolition job, probably more on the sense where I put them down and I came back out and finished them strongly. You know what I mean? So, aye, probably my best win the new because I would say Fergus Quinn was the best name, because he was quite tipped to be a big Irish star, if you want to call it, or a good prospect for Ireland, and I was a massive underdog. But Paul Queen on the experience fought maybe he's fought Hamza Shiraz and he's fought good names and stuff like that. So on the experience, it was a good victory for myself. And again, as I said, it was a total demolition job. You know what I mean, he did the all respect to Paul Keane. You know what I mean, obviously we spoke after and stuff, but he didn't stand a chance in there with me 2 weeks ago. He just didn't. As soon as I hit him straight away, I knew. You can tell when somebody's like, "Oof, I felt that." You know what I mean, his legs were gone. You could see the sort of fear in his eyes. You know what I mean? And then obviously, by the second round, it was over, mate. Before you know it.
I suppose it's not a bad choice looking back on those few wins and thinking which one was the best. It's probably a good problem to
I
have,
know
isn't
it's not a bad choice, mate. You know what I mean? And as I said, it's like they're all fantastic wins, and they were all great fighters. You know what I mean? I would put Fergus Quinn up there, probably the best out of three of them.
it?
Know what I mean? Just because I've been in there with the theorem and I shared a couple of rounds. So aye, but obviously when you go to experience and boxing at a higher level, then it's obviously Paul Keane's boxed at a higher level, you know what I mean, against the likes of Hamza Shiraz and a few others, you know what I mean, and had 20 odd pro fights, which is a lot of professional fights, you know what I mean? So he's probably boxed at a higher level and boxed more rounds than me and stuff like that. But again, as I said, that wouldn't matter and it didn't matter.
No, of course. And obviously, you mentioned a minute ago George Liddard, who won on Friday night,
Yeah.
won the British and Commonwealth titles.
hmm
How did you assess that performance if you watched it?
Cracker. Really impressive. A really good performance. And he guys only just turned 23, am I right?
Yeah, I
Just
think
turned 23.
about
So
ballpark, innit?
that was a pretty impressive performance against a very experienced Keon Conway. I mean, a very big
Mhm.
Keon Conway, um, and I don't think it was cause Keon Conway was bad. I just think George Liddell was really good, and his feet were really good. Um, his feet are really good, and his judgment of distance was really good, and his hands are very fast. I just think Keon's feet weren't quick enough, and he was loading up slightly with all the punches. You know what I mean, stuff like that. But listen, it wasn't today with Keon Conway having a bad performance. It was more just that George Lazard was really good. So that was a great performance. But again, as I said, I wanted the winner, and George Liddard won, so I want the George Liddard fight. You know what I mean? Early in the new year. Obviously, it's totally up to them, their side. You know what I mean? Of course, they're the team, and Bill that he's the guy with the belts, so it's totally up to him and his team who they decide. But I'm happy to step in
Mhm.
and fight him for his voluntary, because he'll have a voluntary. So, aye, I'll fight him for his voluntary, not a problem. Send the paper and I'll get it signed.
No, definitely. How realistic do you think it is that you would get that chance next?
I think it's a very possible, mate. Aye.
Mhm.
Very possible, because he's gonna pick a voluntary. You know what I mean? Of course, but it's one of the ones. Who do you pick? Do you pick somebody right down the list, away below in the rankings, or do you pick somebody like myself who's undefeated? You know what I mean? And who's coming up like him? You know what I mean? Because I was ahead of him in the rankings before he won the British. So it's like we're all in that mix. You know what I mean? So, and I'm sure George is a young 23-year-old British and Commonwealth champion, wants to just keep getting better and keep proving everybody wrong and keep beating good fighters. But I believe it's a different fight with me. You know what I mean? So I fully believe that fight can be made. I think it will be quite possible. It could be made. But again,
Mhm.
that's totally up to them. You know what I mean? So aye, let's hope in the new year, early in the new year, me and him can fight. And no doubt it will be in London or something like that. And that's I'm happy to travel, as they say. You know what I mean? I've done it before. So aye, I'm happy to travel, but I definitely want that shot, mate. You know what I mean? I feel as if I put myself in a position, I deserve it. But again, it's up to them. Obviously, they've got the two belts. So, but again, great performance by George Liddard, 24-year-old. That was pretty impressive. You know what I mean? But it'll be a different fight with me.
Yeah, to be fair to Lid, I'll take in the Conway fight in the first place. Showed quite a good mentality, I think. You know, as I say, young age, and Conway's a very, very good fighter. So,
Yeah,
sort
definitely,
of,
mate.
so I feel like he's probably got that mentality, like you said, of taking on all comers and bit between
Mm-hmm.
his teeth, wanting to prove people wrong. So I feel like it's probably a good chance of that.
Yeah, and so he should. So he should. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? 23. 23, fucking, you know what I mean, good record, good knockout record, punches hard, good boxer, good feet, good amateur background, you know what I mean? So he should be so confident, you know what I mean, to go in and especially after obviously winning the British and Commonwealth titles, you know what I mean? They should be confident. And I like that and I respect that, you know what I mean? Because if you look at it, I'm 35 in March. I'm like 12-year old on that guy. You know what I mean? Almost
Hmm.
12 years older, you know what I mean? I was already boxing, had fights before he was even born. So that's quite funny to look at that. But that doesn't matter, mate, because I'm
Hmm.
a young 30, I'm 34 now, I'm a young 34, you know what I mean? So that doesn't matter. It'll be a different fight with me. So let's hope, mate, in the new year we can we can make it happen, because it'll be a cracker. I mean, Scotland versus England.
Yeah, no, of course. And lastly, you mentioned earlier on your goals were rich, famous, and world titles. Is that still your end goal in boxing now?
Nah, nah, mate. The rich part, aye, the rich part, definitely the rich part, of course. Who doesn't want to be rich? Famous, nah, mate, nah. My perspective in life's had changed a lot, mate. You know what I mean? As you get older, obviously. Financially secure, of course. Who doesn't want to be financially secure? Famous, no really interested in it, mate. You know what I mean? I just want to win titles and enjoy the journey. You know what I mean? And enjoy the people I've got around about me and enjoy the good times and that, because it's different. Life's different for me now, mate. I've experienced so much. I've experienced so much bad. You know what I mean? Over the last few years, I've experienced so much good as well. Come back into boxing and that, so I'm at peace and I sort of know where my happiness lies, mate. You know what I mean? And so again, as I said, financially secure would be very nice, but just enjoying the journey and happy to be back in a boxing ring doing what I love. You know what I mean? As I seen the other night on the interview with Dave after the fight, I smile walking to the ring. You know what I mean? I smile, mate, because I mean, it's a gift to be in that ring, mate. You know what I mean? I'm so grateful, full of gratitude to be standing in a boxing ring. You know what I mean? Fighting and competing. You know what I mean? Because they've easily been the other way. You know what I mean? So no, as I said, mate, just being happy, mate, and just content. You know what I mean? But I'm never content because I'm a fighter, and I just want to win titles and set it what I always set it to be, was to be the best Aston Brown, the best version of Aston Brown. I think that's still to come, even at 34. I think you're seeing me just getting better all the time, which is exciting. I think.
Yeah, without a doubt, mate. Well, listen, thanks so much for coming on. I really
No
appreciate your time.
problem, mate, man. Thanks for your time, mate.
No,
All right, man. I'll speak
no,
to you
no,
soon. Thank you, mate.
yeah,
Cheers.